Just
Thank
jumping
you.
in again.
Thank you.
Yes.
They're applauding for you, Brian.
Yeah, I threw in that dot at the end there. That's Matthew West. It's 8:37, Mornings with Brian. And it's a moment many of you have been waiting for. Heard so many people asking when Nancy Kane is back, and it is right now. Nancy Kane is Program Director of the Caritas Center for Christian Formation, co-host of the Leaving Church podcast, and she's talking to us about the Enneagram today. Welcome back, Nancy.
Nice to be with you guys.
So we're going to try to cover 2 this week, although it's hard to do that because this is so interesting. So generally speaking, the Enneagram, you'd call it a personality profile, right? For those who don't know what we're talking about.
Yes, personality typing of sorts.
Typing, okay. So we're going to look at 2 of them today, and we think we have 2 team members, one with each of these things. So today we're going to start with number 9 on the Enneagram, which we believe is one Ron Eastwood.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
So
It's going to be okay, Ron. It's going to be okay.
Ron's very nervous. Please go easy on him.
As nervous as nines let them to be. Nines on the Enneagram are, the description for them are the peacemakers. These are the people that are solving. They want to have a peaceful life. They want to have peace in relationships. They want the world to be peaceful. So they're constantly solving for how they can be as without stress as possible.
Mm-hmm.
that, that sounds right, Ron?
Yes. Less stress. That's me.
So that sounds great, doesn't it? That's got to be a good thing, doesn't it?
Well, it is and it isn't. To solve anything that we solve for ourselves that's not in conjunction with who Christ is and following him and becoming like him can be problematic. So if I'm solving for stress, I'm the one who's in charge. God is the one who's he teaches us how to have peace. He's the one who is peace. The Enneagram 9s will want to solve peace for themselves. And sometimes apart from God. They are averse to any type of strong emotion, and generally in childhood had some level of emotionality in their home environment that was just too much, and so they decided just to shut down, or they were ignored by their parents. So again, they felt the need to shut down. So they shut down on their emotional life and go into this quasi peaceful place. I call it asleep at the wheel. These are the numbers that they show up in the room, but they don't necessarily want to make any kind of imprint.
Yes.
Any comments on that, Ron? Or you're just saying it's continuing to resonate? You don't have to dig into your childhood on the radio, by the way.
Right. The show up in the room, just be a wallflower. Yeah. That's how I am. Unless it's like an event where we're expected to be on stage and be on, so to speak.
Yeah, and see that the part that, again, God is in process of inviting us away from all of our decisions that we make in our life based on how we think we should be, into this invitation to become like him. So to be like Jesus is not to be a wallflower. To be like Jesus is to know that when you come into the room, you're also, Christ in you is coming into the room, and you're listening and doing whatever he's calling you to do. So you're not solving for peace anymore. You're solving for listening to his presence, listening to his voice, and then being obedient to that, whether it's engaging with someone or listening to someone well, whatever it might be. Christ in you is being formed as well as that's coming forward in your interactions.
So I can't claim to be a wallflower just so that Jesus can shine more and I recede.
Yeah, he needs you. He needs Ron and your imprint onto the world, because that's why he created you, for you to be a person who shows forth his glory. So it means that you're going to be shown up. You need to show up, be seen, interact, and be present.
But see, for 9/Ron, that's really hard, Nancy. Right, Ron? I mean, that's uncomfortable and difficult.
It is uncomfortable, yeah.
It is, but it's all of these numbers, the work that we have to do, the spiritual life, is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have ways, not only nines, but we all have ways of numbing ourselves and not wanting to look in the mirror. And when I think of nines, I think of Lazarus being raised from the dead. I mean, I think it's that profound, is that when Jesus called him out, suddenly his eyes were opened and he saw the world from a whole different standpoint. And that's what happens. That's the beauty of what happens for someone who's a 9 on the Enneagram, is that when they choose to start waking up, their eyes are open to the glory of God being revealed, the beauty of God's creation, the wonder of how he's created the people around him or her. And so to close our eyes to that is also to lose that opportunity to see the glory of God revealed.
Are there any ancient documents that reveal the surname of Lazarus was Eastwood, or are we not sure on that?
There's some speculation around that, It is.
Now, Nancy, somebody might say, okay, good. I'm a 9. Give me 3 steps so I can fix this now.
Be willing to look at yourself. Begin to start to think. Ask the Lord to show you what your feelings are. Are you angry? Are you afraid? Are you happy? I mean, it's not just the negative emotions; it's all those emotions. Ask people around you how they perceive you shutting down, and what that experience is like for them.
Wow, that's hard.
And I think that the key is, and I don't know if we'll get into this in a second, but the vice for the 9 is sloth. And so they must pray for the energy to keep starting their day with energy to really go after the things that God has put in front of them. Because it's too easy for 9s to be more responsive and reactive than initiating. And so whereas the vice for the 9 is sloth or spiritual sloth, where it's a sense where it's just too much energy to pray more. It's just too much energy to spend more time in Scripture. And the 9s will often say, well, I'll do that tomorrow. I mean, and because they're always avoiding anything that's just too hard work. The prayer for 9 is to pray for courage and haste, the sense of an immediacy that the days are short. We're not promised a long life. And so how can you use the time that God has given you for eternity so that you walk into eternity without any regrets?
So good, Nancy. Now, I guess we've kind of reached a crossroads here where we have to take a break. Do you feel like we can put a punctuation mark on 9s, or do we have more that we need to cover?
Well, what do you think, Ron?
Boy, you've given me some homework, Nancy, that's for sure. I do need to do some praying for energy.
Yeah.
Well, and then, I mean, it's also willpower, you're saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's asking yourself, what do you really want, and being honest with that, and say when you ask that question before the Lord, you think, I just really want to be left alone. I just want peace. Lord, give me the desire to want what you want for me. And he will do it. So it's not something you have to will your way up. The very thing that you need to do is the very thing that God will give you, but you need to ask him for it first.
Right.
Good stuff. Okay, let's do this. Ron has been in a very hot seat for a guy that likes to be a wallflower. So let's take a quick break and come back and force Daria to sit in the hot seat. No, we're not forcing. She volunteered. Don't worry. As we transition to Enneagram 1, which, Daria, that's you. Are you ready?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, we'll get to that with Nancy Kane of the Caritas Center and the Leaving Church podcast in just a minute. 852 WCRF. Our guest is Nancy Kane. She's program director of the Caritas Center for Christian Formation. Go to thecaritascenter.com to sign up for their spiritual formation program. Brand new cohort starts in October. I'm in it. Retreat this weekend. Super excited. And also she is host of the Leaving Church podcast. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts. We're talking about the Enneagram. It's a personality. Well, it's not profiling. What is the word you used again?
Personality typing.
Typing. I will remember that at some point. Okay. Now, we talked about 9s. It's time to turn our attention towards The people
What?
who want to call themselves number one, apparently.
You've been forcing that label on me since you found out that that is my number.
You want to be number one, I bet.
No.
Yep. Okay, tell us about ones, Nancy.
Ones are the reformers. These are the people that have a natural sense of seeing what the ideal is, the what perfection looks like. They have the longing for the true and the just and the moral world that they see that can be if people would engage with God, would follow his commandments, would really be obedient to his scriptures and his mandates. These are the people, though, in childhood got a very strong message somewhere along the way from their caregivers of you need to be good, you need to be the best, you need to behave well, you need to be mature. And so they developed an internal kind of rod of expectations for themselves as well as other people. So ones on the Enneagram they look pretty quickly around their environment and see what needs to be changed, and
She's
are always
laughing, by the way. She's laughing when you said that.
Are always inviting people, systems, institutions to change, as well as they have a pretty high standard for themselves as well. So they're constantly kind of beating themselves up in terms of where they're not meeting their own ideal.
Daria?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. And what you were saying about someone in my childhood, I remember very distinctly it was a teacher. I stepped out of line one time and I got the hammer brought down on me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, and it sounds like from that point, then you made a decision that you've got to get it right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And this is the beauty of all these typings, is that the invitation for one is letting go of the standard, because you can't save yourself. You can't redeem yourself. Yes, God calls you to obedience, but more importantly for one, they need to learn of grace, of mercy, and that they can let go of the standard and leap into joy. That in this surrendered place, they can find what they've really have longed for their whole life, which is a joyful sense of celebration about the goodness of God in the world.
It's hard, though, I'd imagine, Daria. I mean, for some people, it's like, oh, piece of cake. But for someone with your number, that's hard, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, and I think that's what's hard about it, is because we live in a world that is also very strong about performance, and most churches are very strong about behave, be nice, be good, be these things. When if we could even get close to being the people that we thought we would be, we would need Christ's gruesome death on the cross, even for a second. And I think for once, it's coming to that deep, profound truth of facing in front of Christ your own brokenness and knowing that in that place he loves you more than you would ever be able to get your mind around.
Yeah, Nancy, you're telling me things that I've been working through for years. This is scarily accurate.
Well, it's a lifelong journey, Nancy, right?
It really is. It's a process, and spiritual growth is slow. It's not as quick in an instant age. Spiritual growth is the reverse. It's a slow process. So the invitation for you, Daria, as well as people on that do type as one, is to let go of the anger and the expectations and the resentment, to find serenity that all is well and all manner of things will be well, as Julian of Norwich would say.
Boy, and one of the things I found comforting, Nancy, is that you've mentioned before to me that spiritual growth is not linear. It's different than that, which I found some kind of relief from when I struggle.
Yeah, it's actually much more cyclical. That God awakens us to things in ourselves. We feel like we're making movement, and then he takes us deeper. It's the stages of the soul that we've talked about on the program, that we move forward and we begin to celebrate God's redemption in us. But then he takes us deeper still. So he's always taking us deeper in terms of the truths of what it means to be saved, what it means to actually be redeemed. It's not just a moment in time. It's a moment by moment daily aspect of recognizing that we need a Savior and we have a Savior. And he's opening our eyes to seeing how he wants to save us more each day.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful to be on a team of people who are willing to be honest and open in the midst of us going through these, because it's required of spiritual growth, Nancy, right? Like hard self-examination.
It is. For one on the Enneagram, it's self-examination in light of grace. So Christ is always gazing at you, Daria, with eyes of love and compassion.
Oh, thank you.
And so as you do that examination, but it's important for you to hold that space that you're being held in love. So what's true for you is true for all of us. I think Tim Keller said it well, is that you're far more loved than you will ever be able to understand, and you're far more depraved than you'll ever be understand.
That's true. Now sorry, go ahead.
But we hold that space that both are true.
Yeah. We have a little bit less than a minute left. I don't want to miss a chance to tell folks about the Caritas Center Spiritual Formation Program, because you all have a brand new cohort. It's a 2-year program starting in October, yeah?
We do. In fact, so any listeners that are interested in their own spiritual development and wanting to go deeper with Christ in the context of a community of people with that same vision and passion, they're welcome to apply and join us. I'm working this year. We've added a year 3 to our program because people are coming back saying, I'm not done yet. And so we're taking them to the next step. So as we're talking about, spiritual growth it's a lifelong journey, but more than ever, I think we need people that hold that same passion and can walk with us on that journey of saying, yeah, you get it. You want more of Christ too. Let's partner together to find what that looks like.
So go now to thecaritascenter.com. Again, CARITAS, caritascenter.com, to learn more information and get some info as well. And, of course, check out the Leaving Church podcast. Nancy and I, who do this together, just finished up our series on the stages of the soul, that latest episode, part 4, that published yesterday. So find that wherever you get your podcasts or more at thecaritascenter.com. As always, Nancy Kane, we love you. We can't wait for the next one. What are the next numbers we're covering?
So the next one will be 2 and 3.
Whew, I'm getting out of another one. Oh, this is great.
Your number will come up eventually, Brian.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we'll get canceled or something. I don't know. We'll see. Nancy Kane, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys, too. Have a wonderful day.
All right. That does it for us. Thanks again, Ron and Daria. Really helps that you all are willing to do that. Mm-hmm. You're the best.
Now I've got work to do.
Yeah, me too, Ron.
And we'll see you tomorrow.